For my individual oral, I will examine how the idolized portrayal of war and propaganda fosters a dangerous disconnect between public perception and the lived experiences of soldiers, contributing to the post-war psychological struggles. This global issue is explored through The Things They Carried by Tim O'Brien and the World War I recruitment posters created by the British Parliament Recruitment Committee. Tim O'Brien's The Thing They Carried is a novel collection of stories that explore the psychological burdens that soldiers face during and after the Vietnam War. Tim O'Brien uses his way of story truths to reveal the truly destructive and deepening psychological toll being a soldier really has on a person. By doing so, it allows to bridge the gap between civilian and soldier and allow people who have never experienced war understand the psychological struggles. The World War I recruitment posters created by the British Parliament Recruitment Committee was an example of wartime propaganda designed to glorify war and prompt up war to the public. The posters present war as a happy, noble, and patriotic thing for the public, failing to show the psychological tolls that is presented when being a soldier, and only depicting war as previously mentioned, noble, patriotic, and happy. Through these texts, we see how propaganda could create a false narrative that leads to these lasting psychological struggles that are placed upon a soldier, really highlighting the disconnect between the perception of war and the reality of war. The World War I recruitment poster, There's No Room for You, Enlist Now, presents the global issue through the use of persuasive and linguistic techniques to glorify war and encourage enlistment. One key element is the narrative technique, depicting the soldier as they board the train. Their exhilarated and happy expressions helps create the illusion that war is an exciting, is solely exciting, and it masks the harsh realities that war presents. All of the men being in wartime outfits, being in wartime uniforms, symbolize the patriotism and reinforce the idea that the viewer should join now. Another technique that is used is that the composition of the train allows the viewer to get the idea that a mass amount of the public is already joined the military. The bandwagoning technique is what's used, implying that everyone is enlisting and the viewer should too. The psychological pressure contributes to the disconnect between civilian and soldiers' experience, as many recruits are misled into thinking that war is universally heroic, uplifting, and fulfilling. The language of "There's Room for You" utilizes direct address, making enlistment seem like it's an opportunity, seem less like it's an opportunity rather than it's a duty. This use of inclusive language masks the true nature of war, making it appealing rather than damaging, and very uplifting if the viewer should join. Another poster that attributes this idea is the "Daddy, what did you do in the Great War" poster. It reinforces the same pressures, depicting a British man talking to his daughter, being pressured and asked, what did they do? The question is depicted more towards the viewer, making them again guilt-tripped into thinking that they should join the war if they shouldn't have an answer to this question. By doing so, the guilt appeals and social pressure makes it seem like war should be universally done, and that people should want to join the war and should want to have an answer to this question rather than not having an answer to this question. And the things they carried, Tim O'Brien presents this global issue as well through authorial choices that emphasize this psychological aftermath of war. Through the addition of Norman Broker's letters, the viewer is able to see the true psychological aftermath of war and how damaging it could be to one's psyche. Specifically in lines 17 through 13, we see Norman get angry at veterans who want to be celebrated by people who are pro-war, yet do not understand what war is, and are solely basing their ideas off what they have seen through different avenues of depictions of war. The word choice of patriotic idiots when regarding people who are pro-war but haven't gone through it really shows that the soldier feels civilians have no emotional feel of what war truly is. And in lines 27, we see that this problem isn't solely depicted to Norman. The repetition of this guy allows the viewer to understand that this is a universal thing and not just a singular moment and a singular instance that is Norman Broker. It shows how also the metaphor of Norman Broker not just wandering aimlessly around the town really highlights how soldiers feel they're lost and unable to talk about their emotions through after the war, because people can't understand how they feel due to misleading of the public. Norman Broker's eventual suicide serves as like the ultimate consequence of the psychological burden, and his death really shows society's inability to understand the soldiers and the inability to help the soldiers due to being misled. And Norman's unprepared for all of these due to his how war was depicted before he was a soldier. And this is also shown when Tim O'Brien pranks Bobby Jordison by making him feel that he's ambushed and truly eliciting psychological torture to Bobby. Tim O'Brien before states that he's never done this before and that war changed him and that war could change a person so much and to lead them to dissent. And both the things they carry in the World War I recruitment posters, they both highlight the dangerous disconnect between glorified perception of war and the harsh realities. O'Brien, through his through the things they carry, exposes the true psychological toll that's placed on soldiers, and it demonstrates how propaganda fuels this misconception. Understanding this global issue is crucial in society, and as there begins to be more propaganda avenues, the true depiction of war is much needed so that civilian to soldier relations could help soldiers and not hurt soldiers.